doing lots of copy pasting today, so I need to somehow do lots of this stuff. Okay, here's a good answer. There it is. Okay, lovely. Welcome to using Ink to develop interactive narratives. I am Tom. I am a Unity developer. I've been doing Unity for like literally over a decade at this point. I'm a game dev, designer kind of person. I do that freelance. I do the teaching, that kind of thing. I run the Cambridge Game Dev Centre, and I also created and maintained the Unity integration. But I sold my soul to go and work at Better Up, who are an American mental fitness and coaching platform that the Prince works at for some reason. But it's a claim to fame, so I'll take it. But before that, I worked at truly a dream job working at Inkle, who are small, super small, Cambridge-based narrative games company. We made all these wonderful, critically acclaimed, commercially sort of games. Really proud of all of these. I was the only programmer on that one way, so the 2 programmer team. Yeah, super proud of my role in all of these. Lovely games. Totally recommend Overboard. It's super short. You can play it in like 20 minutes. It's super impressive. Commonality of all of these games is that, like I say, Inkle makes story-based games first. They all use Ink. Ink looks like this. And we're going to come in back to this. I just want to show you this innovative what that looks like. And Inkle made this themselves and they open sourced it. They realised that there's nothing really out there that solves this problem. At least nothing that they were happy with. And so yeah, made this open sourced it. This is, by the way, a sort of workshop-y kind of thing. If you want to follow along, you're completely welcome to. There are some links here that you can give the whole presentation. You can download Inky, which is this piece of software, and then I've sort of put together a bunch of snippets and some of the scripts you can see. If you want to follow around with Mac laptops. But here's what we're going to do. First off, we're going to look and just sort of make sure we all know what we're saying when I talk about narrative games. Then we're going to look at how branching narratives are authored in games out today. Then the bulk of the talk, live demos, which we like, Ink 101. And I'd like to show you how you can actually ship Ink, how you can produce a build and give it to people. We're going to look at how you can do that with web, how you can make a website, and how you can integrate it in Unity. And then if we've got time, maybe Q&A. Okay, so I actually didn't realise this was a game track, so this slide is who plays games? Hands up. Alright, that's a couple down, so fine. Who makes games? Excellent. And who makes narrative games? Alright, still pretty good. I will take it. So, one thing I want to find out actually, it is a tool for making interactive narratives, but it is just incredibly useful. It's free, it's open source, it's just got things you can use to store text, or like contain text, so if you need like a dynamic header on your website, use it for that. That's a completely valid thing. Okay, so what are narrative games? We are increasingly thinking of games as a narrative art form. A good half of like modern games, basically all AAA games, are narrative-based, like heavily. They'll have huge teams of writers working on these things. When we go to the pub to talk about them, we talk about their storylines. Like HBO now make like TV shows about game stories. So it's a real focus. They are significant games. So I'd like to have a look at some of the history of games and have a look at sort of the interfaces specifically, how you actually interact, how the story is conveyed through a video game. So the earliest narrative games, arguably, are adventure games, super old school ones, the parser one, for example, here in the middle. This is basically a terminal window that says some things at you, and then you sort of say what you want by literally typing in. So you say things like open door and look at the lamp. And if you say something that it doesn't understand, or you spell something wrong, it will say, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're saying. And these are basically unplayable. So we started instead using this list of verbs here, so there were like 9 things you could do. And then you click on things in the environment saying, do this thing on this thing. And these were significantly more playable, but still completely collapsed at the end of the 90s. Because they got expensive, actually, especially when it's 3D, and suddenly this visual medium starts costing like tens of millions. But we do still have them. We've got things like Life is Strange and Random Down, is that one? But a sort of character all the Telltale games. These are arguably still old school adventure games. Right, then I wanted to name drop these are basically dead now. Hello, great. These are books, really. You read some text, it's like an adventure game normally, and then you'll get a few choices. You decide which one you want to do, you go to the page that it says to turn to, and it tells you what happens. And a lot of time will die, a lot of time interesting things will happen. And some of these are pretty complex. Some of these have like maps and entries and items and puzzles and dice and stuff. But like I say, basically dead now. Although Inkle did actually adapt the Sorcery series, they're really good. Yeah. They're on Switch and iPhone and actually
don't use Choose Your Own Adventure because that's copyrighted. They will sue.
This is true. But this is an educational sense.
You're fine. You're fine.
Okay, then we've got visual novels. These are some of the most popular story games. They always look like this. They always have happy girls and pigeons, and little text box at the bottom where you read text. One of the reasons for this is just, it's how you, not that excellent book, it's how you convey this is the sort of game. If I like the last one, this one looks a lot like this one, that's great, I know I want it. But also, they're all made with the same piece of software, Renpy, which is designed specifically for making visual novels. So that is the reason that a lot of things look the same. Okay, then we've got modern adventure games. So yeah, the adventure game genre sort of died a little bit. People actually want to press buttons more now. Like story, we also like jumping. So these are games in which you jump. But you'll see they're also totally story-driven. Like this is still a significant part of it. You explore a world, you discuss, you talk to characters. They're stories. You are a character and you're going on. Interestingly though, same kind of interface, especially Sable here, right? Box at the bottom, single line of text. Sometimes we have a little bubble here and it comes from a character, but it's the same kind of delivery mechanism. We read a bit of text and then we make a choice. RPGs, these are way more interesting because they actually listen to what the player is doing. The whole point of these games is you are taking on a role and I expect there to be lots of choices that will shape who I am, how other people perceive me, how, I can affect the world in some way. And that makes them really, really hard to build because you've got all of these branches and parts and variables all going on at once. The player expects to be listened to. If the game forgets that you did this really important thing over here, you start treating it like Skyrim and just, putting pots on people. And the people stop being people, which is a shame. And I was also named about the action genre. It's sort of interesting to me that action games have gone from this thing that had no storyline, or was, man with a gun, saving people, to stories often linear, but it's got choices and things. It's almost an RPG. And Hades is brilliant. Hades is basically linear, but it's a big bucket of conversations, and they draw the conversation that makes the most sense in the context you're in. So if you've just been hit by a Hydra, next character you'll talk to will say, "Oh, I've got Hydra birds," and you go, "Whoa, the game cares, not what I did." And then we have all these other things, not necessarily. There are loads of other ways of telling stories. Just so you know, there is more than one way. But this is the way that most games do, which is story is delivered mostly through text because motion capture is really expensive. Player is occasionally given choices that they can choose from. It's normally between 3 and 2 and 5 choices. 3 is the magic number that comes up. And then the story will continue onwards and completely ignore you, or branch slightly or majorly, depending on that choice. And this is it, this is all narratives mostly, except for the last ones. So, how would you go about actually building one of these? So let's say that you are a game maker, or an aspirational game maker. Well, you need a game engine. You get Unity or Unreal or whatever. It's a 3D game, 3D art, you get Maya, Blender, blah. 2D game, or you need UI, or all the things you need 2D for. Like Ace Sprite, Rector, Photoshop. And then audio, obviously you use Reaper, if you're going to record sound, maybe use Ableton, chiptone, if you're going to create the sound. And then you need something for your text and narrative. It's very important for me to go, I don't know what to do now, because I don't know any of these tools. And they aren't well known like these are. So it's fine. For sure, you just put it in the code. It's fine, that's where the words live. If you're a coder, but don't do that. Because you'll have to put quote marks around everything. It'll be a nightmare just to compile it. You change a bit of text in your thing. And if you ever get a writer on board, they will look at it and run away. Or they'll run to Microsoft Word. Don't do this either, because you can't write a game in Microsoft. You can't launch. You can't tag anything up. You can't say, just don't do that. Ugh, don't do it. Spreadsheets. They're like a tool that you put text in, and you can also tag things, and you can do maths in them, that's fun. Don't do that either. But it's how most games are localized, the spreadsheet. Terrible idea. So at this point, you throw up your hands and say, right, so I'm just make our own tool, little programs, we can do this. But don't do that either unless you have a big budget, because you actually have to make a game as well. But this is actually what most of the big companies do. Sometimes for the right reasons, because they have a lot of very specialist needs. But mostly it's just a big time stuff. So, what do you actually want in your narrative tool first? Let's say you are going to make your own, or whatever. Well, the first thing you need to do is it's going to store just loads and loads of text. Scripts are really big. 80 days, I think it's like a million words or something, and that's not even like a big AAA game. Red Dead's like 20 minute writing, lots of words. And you're also going to want a nice way to sort of divvy up those words, make it easy to organize, easy to define stuff, especially if you've got lots of writers, and just be nice and clean. Crucially, branches, very good story state, stuff that is going to allow the player to control the story and have a say in it. We all want this to be incredibly easy to do, all the writers aren't going to put them in. And also super powerful, so you can surprise and delight the player with things. You want to test it, you don't always forget this. Games aren't even playable until about halfway through development, and they're not good until about 5 minutes before development. So if you expect your writer to make something, bring the writer on the start of the project and say, right, you make this. They're not even going to be able to play it until it's done. So you can't have that. So you need some way that your writer can test it, even if they're not in the game engine, even if the game doesn't work, it doesn't matter. You need that. Metadata. If you've got a line, you need to know who's delivering the character. Maybe you want them to smile with this line, or put some twinkles up the last of it. So we want them to walk across the room. You're going to tag that line up. So you need some way about metadata. Localization, super important. You need some way of doing that. And an API, so you can actually control it in your game engine. All important. So, as I said before, there actually are tools. Hey, you don't know any of them, because no one does. Or maybe you know some. Here are the tools that are well known. I don't actually like many of them, but that's by the by. I wanted to sort of quickly go over all of them, because while I think Ink is lovely, and I am going to talk about Ink, all these other tools are good for doing different things. If you are making a visual novel, use Redpine. It's the thing for making those games. So what do I mean when I say all of these things at the top here? Well, text-based middleware, this is Ink again. Text-based means you're writing in a text editor. There's no real UI to play with, just on your keyboard, which I think is good because that's how writers work. And that's who the tool is for. And middleware means this isn't a game engine. You're not going to make like an exe from this and put it on Steam. This is something you can put into your game engine and will handle that small part of the game. You can't put video or audio into it. It's just not what it does. Node-based. So this is stuff like Twine. Twine is pretty popular. There's another one called Artsy Graph. No, anyway, not cool. This is what these things are like. The boxes, and you write in the boxes and connect up the boxes to say this bit goes here, this bit goes here. They're great in that you can get a writer on board. You can say, look, this is, here's your scene, and you can quickly go, oh, I see, it flows like this. Nice and visual. People like that. I don't like them though, because if you're a writer, you actually want a page where you can write, don't want to fiddle around with boxes. Plus, quite limiting, like a box. That, like, what if you want it to loop in lots of ways? If you want it to increase variables and the variable will affect how the tests printed, then suddenly this is going to be a mess. Also, this is a really small story. Your game is probably going to have hundreds of branches, and that isn't going to fit on the screen, it's just going to look messy. So these tend to fall apart when you build anything branchy or particularly interesting. It's good for small games. Okay, game engines. These are things that ship in EXE. They tend to be for fairly specialist genres of game. So this is Adventure Game Studio for making an old-school adventure game. You can use this. It does all the things you would expect in an adventure game. And you don't need to be a programmer. You just need to know what you want out of this kind of game. Okay, engine plugins. So these are typically the same as the other types. This is a node-based writing tool, but it's directly inside Unity. They are basically worse because Unity's UI is obviously not as good as a proper thing. But the advantage is that because it's in the engine, you can just drop audio clips in there, you can drop game assets in there, you can tag things in the game. It's all quite convenient. So a lot of people use these. Okay, then you've got specialty tools like maybe your own thing. Like this is the Witcher's dialogue tool. You've got loads of them because of course they have very complicated needs. So yeah, if you're making the Witcher, maybe you do build your own narrative tool. Then you've got various specialties. So that's fine. Okay, so we're going to spend the rest of the session looking at Ink. I've selected Ink because I know it and I like it, but these other tools we could have made a talk about those ones. So like I was saying, if you want to follow along, now is a great time. But what is Ink first? Well, it describes itself as a scripting language for writing interactive stories, which is nice and vague. All that kind of means is it's designed for writers, not programmers. And you author it in text, you just write your words. It's super lightweight, it's easy to learn. I promise you all know Ink. To the point where you could make a whole game with it by the end of this session. No problem. Incredibly powerful. You're not going to know all the things you can do in it, there's a lot of things you can do in it. It's completely free, it's open source, you can like hack it apart, you don't need to credit anyone, you can take it into your bomb, it's completely fine. And it's got APIs to C# and Unity, and also some for Unreal and Godot, but I leave them there. As well as Inkle's games, all of Inkle's games use Ink. All of these games use Ink, they've been on all the consoles, all the game genres. It's been battle tested if it works. Okay, interactive part. This is Ink 101. So I'm going to try and just cram in as much Ink knowledge as I possibly can for the rest of this. So, right, this is the first thing I'm going to teach you. So I'm actually going to sit down and do the thing at this point. There we go. So this is Ink. If you open up Inky, this is what you're going to see. And Inky is separated into two panes. So what you see is what you get, which means this is what you see and what you get. You write over here, and then this is the bit you can play. So this is the choice. If you take a choice, the story will continue until it runs out. So that's nice. And then we've got buttons over here for restarting. That's unwind one choice, that's restart completely. There are snippets up here where you can do basic things, if you don't want to run syntax. That's really important stuff. But the easiest thing you can do in Ink is just stick text in it. So this is completely valid as an Ink story, as is you are out to adventure. Like the valid Ink story, it's text. You don't need any markup or anything, it just works. So in our adventure, we're going to first design what sort of character we want. So we're going to need some choices. The players can be able to say who they are. So get some fancy name. You can be a, I don't know, fancy character, anyone.
Spider.
Barbarian. Barbarian. Nice. Okay, any more?
Wizard.
Sorry, say again?
Wizard.
Wizard. Wizard. One more?
Ranger.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay. So now you'll see that these are choices. And the only way you declare a choice in Ink is just put an asterisk in front of it. It's that simple, like it's our choice. And obviously when we click barbarian, we're going to want it to say something about being barbarian. But right now the story is sensitive. So we want some text that is only going to get displayed if you choose that choice. Okay? To do that, just write it up with the choice. So you have a big so you'll see this actually updates live, which is super handy, so you can go and read drafts and save your state in the story. So if you go up live, you can go tweak it, super friendly for writers. And if we choose Wizard or Ranger, we're not going to get that in text, obviously. Okay, so Wizards, what do you have? You have big city, and yes, a hat. Sometimes things. Okay, Ranger, what do they do? Bows?
Yeah. Probably some
Around.
A pet? Good one. Okay, nice. So, there we go, now we have a character select screen, that's fun. We now have chosen a character, we want to continue on with our adventure, and we want to let the player decide where they want to go. So, let's write some more text. Say, okay, where do you want to go? Go. I'm going to write a new choice, maybe. Maybe the cage. And the, I don't know, spooky forest. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is lovely. However, there is a catch, which is that the rule that we introduced earlier is that any text that follows a choice is only displayed if we mean that choice. Which now means that, well, not just all of these other choices from here on the top level, we go to one, but also if we choose wizard, it's not going to go to this bit that asks where we want to go. So, what we've got here is we've got a branch, a node, and we've branched off in 3 different directions, and now we need to say, well, come back now, please. So we need to gather all of those choices back together. And I think gather is the name of this syntax. And that's it. Now it gathers the story back together. And what that means is, regardless of which of these choices at the top take, the story is going to fall back to this point, and then it's going to offer us these choices. And that is how you kind of branch, gather. And that is Ink+Unity. It's Ink+Unity part A. This is what we've done. That's what we just did. That right there. Text displayed line by line, asterisks is to denote choices, and gathers items stop branching. Okay, and that's how this story looks. Is when you get into grips with this stuff, it's definitely useful to see it on a map. That's what we've just done. And you can see how simple that story was. If we put this in one of these graphs, like, yeah, we're not going to get very far before this map starts getting just showing. Okay. Yes, tests. Design tests, because people really like tests, especially in games. That's gameplay, actually. Okay. So, I have devised a test that involves a bomb. However, I seem to have accidentally left the source code open. So could you all please tell me which wire we need to cut to not die in this game? Shout it out, please. First one. The blue one. You said the red one. Oh no! Yeah, you will do it. It's the blue one. So well done. You are apparently capable of reading it. It's not so bad, sir. Okay. Let's go down now. That one might be useful. Reading through. There we go. Okay. Ink+101 part 2. So, we now need to go to a different part of the story, depending on which choices we make. So if we go to the beach, we actually don't, well, if we take one of these choices, we don't want to gather back to the same point and then say, right, this is what the player is doing. We actually want the tavern to be completely different locations of the beach, right? So we can't do the thing we did before, just gather back together and write some text. What we need to do instead is have this big piece of content called the tavern, where a thing is going to happen. And in Ink, one of the easiest ways to go about doing that is to create a piece of content, which in Ink is called a knot. A knot is written like this. I'm going to have it be the arc nodes. This. So this is the knot, and the head is but this is very cool. The story is actually not going there yet. So if we want to tell the story to go here, then underneath here, when we take this choice, this is the bit of content that's here. And when we take the choice, we use this syntax. It's called divert. That means go here. So we go here. So now we choose the dark caves. We're going to go to the cave. And I will prove to you. Voila. However, we've got an error. And this error is because the story has ended now, and well, it's actually more of a warning than an error. It's basically Ink just telling us, hey, it's loose end in the story, and we'd like you to just check that and tell us the end here, because it could be a bug, right? You don't want loose ends to flow the story, you want to make sure it flows to an ending. So all we have to do is divert to a special keyword called done, and that just tells the story, that is it, that really is the end of the story. So that's nice. Okay, we can do a little bit more branching, and to show you how you can use knots to separate out the content. So in this case, that is a please name a fantasy enemy.